Hey everybody, welcome to another piece in the series I'm putting together, and we've got our very own Peter Tenfjord, Business Development Director for the East. What's up, Pete?
What's up, buddy? How are you? Thanks for saying my name properly.
Yeah, of course. Peter, Pete. We use both, don't we?
Well, it's the Tenfjord that typically stumbles.
That one's I think that got easy. This is our second tour of duty, so I
That's
think I
right.
learned it in 10, 11 back in those days when we got to do some business together.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah.
now we've been on the same team for, God, I'm going on like a year and a half almost.
Oh, wow. It's crazy.
And we still haven't been face to face, which is nuts.
Well, not this time around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. We'll make that happen soon.
I can't wait for all of us to get together.
Yeah.
Hey,
Same.
so today I wanted to, share with everybody a little bit about recruiting as a business plan, some of the things that you and Shane have worked on, and I got to plug in far along into the process and how evolution, but just more about how recruiting is a value prop here and what we do for managers and kind of some of the backbone of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Is that a question? Yeah, I can get into that. So, I'm a little bit biased. This is one of my favorite topics. I love talking to leaders outside of the company, inside, of course, as well. But as a value prop for potential leaders thinking about coming over here, this is a well-oiled machine. We got a great squad, really good team of recruiters who are, smart, creative, patient, and really resilient. And I think we genuinely love working together, and they're wired to partner with local market leaders and regionals and divisionals to get, to hit our goal, which is, it's a big one. But I think, you combine these gifted individuals with the tools, tech, processes we put together, and that becomes our superpower, right? As you know, it's been a long time coming and a lot of fun to build, and I can't take really any credit for it, but it's been fun to at least have a voice when it comes to actually building it out.
Well, I think I got to plug in at a time when it was pretty evolved, so I'm totally grateful for that. But I think there's and you've seen this too. We've worked at different companies where recruiting drives activity, and it's kind of like, all right, we'll deal with it. And there's other companies where recruiting is part of the culture.
Yeah.
And just it's interesting to see and be part of, a culture of recruiting, and not just with the systems and all the data and what we're able to do there, but just the engagement at the branch manager level, at the regional level, and just, people really enjoying building and growing.
Yeah. Look, I think there's some really good companies out there with great recruiting teams. Some companies out there, I actually look at recruiting kind of like an extension of HR or just sort of a bolt on. And look, kudos to them, because they usually have managers that are out there doing it for themselves. I think with us, we have such a big number that we need to hit and continue to hit year over year. We can't do it with 15 or 16 recruiters. It's just not going to happen. So we have to effectively partner with leaders in market, and to get them to that point, to get leaders engaged in recruiting, you got to show results. You got to bring candidates. You have to provide data. It has to be seamless. You got to have cloud-based integration, which we do with our CRM. You have to have really good collateral and messaging, which I think we do as well. It's very value added rather than value prop, which makes it just makes it a lot of fun. And our recruiters succeed, our managers succeed, candidates are happy. It's a partnership. Absolutely.
Totally is. And I think, like you had said, there's a lot of different recruiting teams out there. All of them, do what they do in the environments they're in. But the way we're set up, recruiters are tied to a region. So they're in the same geography. They're building, relationships over time, incubating those relationships. And then I know we've recently rolled out some stuff to kind of help save managers time.
Yeah.
And just, outside of the existing relationships, just, hey, there's these people in the market that are crushing it with purchase. They've got a killer product mix, and we want them to know us. So between our phone calls, the manager phone calls, senior management phone calls, we're all out there trying to plant seeds and, do it the old fashioned way, which is really relationship your way into, opportunities in the future.
Yeah. And look, recruiters are burning up the phones, right? They're reaching out via text, via social media, just laying the groundwork, always messaging. But there's nothing more powerful than a local market leader, whether it's a sales manager, branch manager, regional for that matter, reaching out a live call or text, just saying how you doing. So powerful. But they can only do that so often, right? They got a day job, if you will. So to have the recruiters sort of building that foundation for messaging and opening people's minds to hearing from others, leaders within the company, it's huge. And you mentioned this app. We're doing everything we can to make it as easy as possible for our leaders to just very quickly reach out to someone. So we created this application. It's on your phone, right? It's built, it's wired into our CRM. The recruiters handpick candidates, drop them into this app for each of their managers, and they just pop up on their phone. They click the dial and go, call, answer, great, good conversation. We're going to meet. They change a disposition. CRM reads it, recruiter knows about it, and we're humming. And like I said, it's cloud-based, so everything's real time, it's a great way to have a cohesive relationship within the market. I mean, John Bianchi's using it, right? Which is pretty darn cool. If you want to talk about leadership buy-in, he's cold calling candidates that we put in his hot lead bucket. So that makes it fun.
What better guy to do it though, right? Big,
Exactly.
$500 million producer, moved into executive leadership, and he's been doing a great job. He's fun to work with.
Yeah, he's cool.
Hey, so you talk to a lot of managers like I do, and I know when I came here, and I still feel this way, like this company is built for infilling. Like first and foremost, it's loan officers, partner with branch managers. I know we, like a lot of other companies, have expansion goals, and I view that as opportunity, and I know you do as well, and the rest of the team does.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different when you're recruiting managers, and the data and the process and all that stuff. How would you describe, like, to a new manager or someone you're recruiting, like what kind of partnership exists and what kind of expectations you set for, yourself or me or other people on the team, being their partner going forward after they get here?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we're looking for managers that want to grow and have the ability to grow market share. We got everything laid out for them. We've got a team of recruiters dedicated to help with that. I mean, really, you just deep dive into the data, the metrics, figure out a hot list of high value candidates within the markets that we're talking about. They peel out the ones that they know or don't want to know. And then we sort of drill in and figure out the key targets. They're loaded into their system. They're the only ones that can see them. We interact with them together, again, cloud-based. So there's no like weird sort of fumbling around and stepping on each other's toes. It's cohesive. And then we leverage things like, mass automated messaging, whether it's email or text, these things like Sly on occasion, just to hit the market hard. We develop collateral for social media, and just, it's a marketing plan, right? It's a marketing plan with a dialer who's really good at telling the story.
Hey, but I think too, like, and this has been the same probably for you and me since we got into this business, like results come from activity.
Yeah.
And I think the way, our team holds himself accountable, it's like, we're looking for people to hit ideally, 16 meetings a month.
Yeah.
So what on average do you think year to date is this team delivering in first appointments nationally for the company?
I'd say we're getting 160 meetings a month from our team.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a good number. It's and it floats a little bit here and there, but seasonally, May was rough, but it picked back up in June, and we're seeing some really good metrics for July. But yeah, that's a really good number for brand new meetings with candidates that are looking to talk about this company and their business. It's powerful.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like, I mean, I know I think I agree with you. I mean, this team is the best team I've been part of in my whole career, and there's disciplined people. We've got access to data. Like you'd said too, the systems are so easy. There's no spreadsheets or tripping over each other.
Right.
All the managers participate, as much as they want to, some more than others, like any organization.
Yep.
But it really is like we're in control of activity flow, and there's definitely capacity for new managers, which I know is a focus for us, through the end of this year into next year, and then just filling up empty desks where we can. And some of these managers and branches, I mean, I don't even know if the empty desk concept even exists anymore. I mean, people are remote, the offices are shrinking. It's like however many somebody can handle.
Times have changed for sure. I mean, our meetings we're getting back to face in some markets, and But look, we adjusted really quickly. I think we've moved our entire organization out of office, and it felt like the same day that COVID, happened. And tech wasn't an issue, at least for us. Zoom was great. We got Teams, which is really slick. I mean, I had a manager come on with his team right in the heart of COVID, right in the heart of that refi boom we went through last summer. And he plugged into Teams. His entire business was on Teams all day, every day until he got comfortable, which is pretty darn cool.
That's absolutely nuts. Yeah, I think what were we? I mean, we had like 400 or 500 starts last year, and most of them were in the second, third, and fourth quarter. Not including operations people. There was probably 1,000 ops, and everybody onboarded remotely, trained remotely. Like, talk about like a shift. It does feel good to get back to face though. I know everybody feels the same way. It's like you can only Zoom or Teams or video for so long before it gets back to just good old fashioned. Let's grab a coffee or lunch or beer.
There's nothing like face-to-face energy. I mean, we did our best and do our best with remote hire being remote, all video based. It's amazing their access and accessibility, and doing everything via Zoom webcam or whatever gets you face-to-face possible. But being in real life is going to be killer.
Do you think there will be any difference in the level of activity with face-to-face? Because it seems like with remote, you could schedule, 10 meetings a day. People could be at their house, they could do them. Now it's driving, going back to the office, home or otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say, Steve. I mean, we're seeing people getting face-to-face now to a degree. I think people are ready to meet face-to-face just to get out, right? And a lot of people are working from home. It's like, oh yeah, I get to go to this meeting with some guy I never met, but I'm excited just because I get to leave the house. But we'll probably see it drop off a little bit because it's so easy just to pick up the phone and call. That's all right. We always adjust. It's funny, from a metric, we call it our minimum requirement first appointments. Just randomly, Shane said, and I think it was because Anthony said something, what if you had to do this versus that number? And Shane said, what if we had to do 16 first instead of 12? And it was like 3 months later, everybody's doing 16 first because they decided to, right? So, but dude, we put some really strong recruiters like Kixie, mass text, texting out of CRM, video out of CRM, integration into Outlook. All that allows for efficiencies. Obviously, the data, which means our recruiters no longer really have to deal with who not to call. They just have a list of who to call. So there's a ton of automation and efficiency that allows for one day, probably 20 first appointments.
Yeah. And we've had people hit that number and higher in a month too, which is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hey, so going back to the branch managers, obviously every company sets up a little different. This is a hungry group, like you had said, very disciplined. I think they're very assertive in a really polite and respectful way, which is good.
Can't hear you.
Oh, is that coming back?
Oh, there you are. You're back.
I said this is a really hungry group, very disciplined, really assertive in a polite and respectful way. Like, how much more capacity do you think we have to add managers and still deliver the same level of activity?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I think it just depends on the where, right? I mean, if it's a market where we don't have any saturation at all, you bring on a few good, strong recruiting managers, and maybe you can carve off a piece of real estate, not move as we'd like, then you can add a recruiter pretty easily. But it's really hard to bring a recruiter on before you have that geography to service, because coming in de novo, like a region or a branch manager with nothing,
There's a lot of time.
it's difficult. But I don't know, man. That's a really good question. Something we're gonna have to deal with, though.
Yeah, it'll be a fun problem to have. I think this team has more capacity for sure.
I do too.
It seems like everybody can support, at least 10 managers, and probably like any company, there's 4 or 5 that are active all the time, a few that you do most of the work for, and a few that just are either big enough, they're not growing for a little while, or you're coaching them up, or they're just not, they're just not going to be builders for you.
Yeah.
But
Well, and you have to think about what I love about this team is there's a lot of here, right? We don't get much turnover on the recruiting side. So these pipelines are really mature, and it's a lot of incubations that they're working with. And they may just be a little bit outside of a market where they're focused, or they have a leader to partner with, and you drop someone just outside of that dividing line, they can just flip that on over there. So there's big potential for who we have here today. I would like to add one or two other recruiters though, just because there are markets that we really want to grow that we haven't done a ton in.
yeah. Well, dude, it's awesome working on the same team with you. I know,
Yeah, it
like
is.
I said, we've had a tour of duty in the past. I was on the outside, you were on the inside, and we had a ton of success there, which was a blast.
Yeah.
Different time.
Yeah.
But I think the thought leadership here and your experience, Shane's experience, and all the input from the team too, because there's a lot of bright people here that are really, have great ideas and, always offer their opinions, because it's that kind of culture. And it's just cool to work with you, man.
Yeah, man, you've been an awesome ad, Steve. It's been you definitely push the needle, right? You're always thinking creatively. And
what, I'm pushy?
And well, not with me, of course, but I see you press a little bit, which I like. But great ideas. You're an outside of the box thinker, and you try stuff, which is fun, and you're cranking. So it's been a pleasure for sure.
Yeah, this is I know this isn't a loanDepot commercial, but like in my whole career, I haven't had as much time to recruit, because a lot of the automation that's in place takes time, at other companies that don't have it, it takes time away. You're searching on a spreadsheet for NMLS numbers. And I know there's more data out there, more people have it, but having it all in, it's just get more time, which is actually our spin to loan officers too. The technology platform helps you do things in a shorter period of time. Therefore, you can have some work-life balance or grow the business, and hungry keep growing.
You have different problems, right? Or different, I shouldn't say different problems, but you have different things to solve for. It's not spreadsheet related. It's not tech issues. It's like strategy, right? Let's talk about strategy in a particular market. We're talking to an area manager and a recruiter today about how we really want to grow the leadership roles in that market, both ones we have now for recruiting purposes, and then add others to sort of throw some more horses in the race. And I think, you can do that at other firms. You can do that no matter where you are, but there's just a lot more room to get creative and strategic and spend the time that you need to with your leaders and your recruiters to make sure that it's something we can try out and test it, see if it works. If it doesn't, we scrap it and then we try something else. So you're right. It's nice.
It's fun to invent though. Like our job, we've been doing the same thing for 100 years, right? It's like pick up the phone call, open, not open, follow up in 3 months or next month's, repeat. But it's it's rewarding, like professionally and just psychologically, to be able to invent a little bit and kind of work on the business as opposed to in it sometimes. And I think everybody here would say the same thing about that. Like everybody's got equal opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I think you burn out if it's the same thing over and over again, right? If you have people like we do, whether it's Shane or you or our market leaders, some of the regionals that get really involved in recruiting, our team, obviously, there's just some really creative minds, and they're always trying stuff. Like we jump on our power hour call with the team, and there's always just a nugget. Like it's going great. Well, let's do it. Let's give it a shot, right? And everybody sort of jumps on, and not everybody will try it or run it through its course, but it's just something new, and it keeps everything fresh, which is definitely a lot more fun than the same old stagnant dial.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, PT, I dig working with you. Thanks for your time.
Same here.
We got to do a regroup in 6 months and talk about some of the new stuff we're working on, because it's always evolving. But I dig you, man.
Same here, brother. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, you too. Later.